Welcome to season 2 of No Shelf Control, the podcast with books, booze, and banter, hosted by authors for readers, because let's face it, we're all bookworms at heart.
This season, we'll be chatting about book-to-screen adaptations and trending BookTok books. I'm Lindsey Sparks.
And I'm Lindsey Pogue. Kick back, grab a cocktail, and enjoy the show. Yeah, so this is a fun one. It was kind of nice to not like have to cram in a show and or a movie and read too, so it was kind of nice.
I know, I'm already like, oh gosh, I have to like
for the next one. I know, me too. I'm like, I have to get this scheduled out. I have all these other things. Anyway, yeah. So that was really fun. So welcome to this episode, everybody. Tonight we are talking about the BookTok book sensation. But let's be honest, it's been out for a really long time. So
it has. I think I actually originally had an ARC copy of this.
I do too. Yes.
I don't know what happened to mine.
It's the Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller, and when we worked at the bookstore, I'm sure. So I actually have mine right here. So if anybody's ever seen this cover, this is what we're talking about.
Yeah, and it has there's been lots of pretty covers of it.
I know.
No.
So anyways.
Yeah.
Very exciting. So anyways, that's what we were talking about. So I'm excited. This is actually a second read for me. I read this like a year or two ago. So it was nice to revisit it because I remember enjoying it a lot and I've been wanting to dive back in. So anyways, I won't ask you what you thought about it yet. We'll wait. So let's kick it off with Wednesday evening. It's getting dark here. It's hot as balls where I am. I don't know about you.
It's balls here too. Yeah, it's just like balls hot all along the West Coast.
Yeah. So anyways, we are now cooking in our offices because we
I can't have my door open because my almost 4-year-old's window is open because it's hot as balls in the house too. And then he would hear me and he'd be like, "Mama."
Yeah, no, I know. So anyways, I'm locked in here as well. So anyways, what are you sipping on then?
I'm just doing sparkling water today because it's hot as balls and wine does not sound good.
Yeah, I know. I struggled. I poured a smidgen of bubbles.
See, I don't have any white wine or anything.
Yeah.
It's not anywhere in my home. Otherwise, I maybe would have done that.
Yeah. Anyways.
Bubbles sounds good.
Yeah, it was the only thing that really sounded good. But anyway, so moving on from drinking because we're kind of lame tonight. Well, I know you just had a release. So why don't you fill us in what's going on with you work-wise?
Yeah, okay. So yesterday I released Blood of the Broken, which is the 5th out of 6 books in the Atlantis Legacy series, and it's like has a terrible twist in it. So it's been really fun to first it was really fun to send it out to my advanced reader team, but now it's really fun to know that it's in my like main reader base like hands. So I'm excited about that. It's my favorite book in the series so far, so that's been fun. And it was also super fun because I released some bonuses on Patreon. So I'm excited about that. I haven't actually told anyone except for the patrons about it. So I'm excited when I can I want to give people a couple days because I don't want people to immediately go straight to the bonuses because 2 of them are available to the public. I don't want them to go straight to the bonuses because they'll totally spoil themselves, on some major things that happen. So I want them to wait. So I'm just going to give it a couple days before I just announce it widely. Yeah,
I guess that's true. You have to kind of think about that stuff when you do it like that. Huh? I never thought about it. Don't want to give too much away.
Yeah.
But anyways, I know. I think it's hard because I know there's a lot of time between them, but I feel like it's the one I enjoyed reading the most too, out of the series. But again, I feel like so much time is in between for me. Like I read so many books. I'm like, I really enjoyed it. So I don't know, but
it's pretty gutting. Really it's like really gutting,
but it's really fun. It's really action packed. Like there's a lot going on. It moves quickly. The world, we already talked about this. Like the setting is super awesome. I loved it. So anyways, just overall, I think it's a really fun book. It kind of has all the things in it,
Thanks.
But
it was fun to write. I'm excited to wrap up this series. When you get to there's just like a little bit of series fatigue when you get to the end of a series, especially a longer series. It's going to be, sorry, my phone keeps buzzing. My husband is walking by our ring. It's just a little bit of ready for other things. And I already know where I'm going next, which is into a related series in that same world. So I'm excited to get back into All World Online.
Are you, how many more books in this series?
There's one more book in this series, and then All World Online, I don't have any kind of set anything. I know where I know my destination. I don't know how I'm going to get there. Nice. So I think because All World Online, which is the spinoff series, and one of the, I will say that one of the bonuses that is public or has a public version, a censored public version, because the uncensored version needs to be hidden behind a paywall for the protection of minors. But the uncensored version of the bonus epilogue for Blood of the Broken, which I'll put a link to the bonuses in the show notes, but it launches a new serial that my third serial on Patreon, which is actually kind of a bridge between Atlantis Legacy and All World Online.
Nice.
So it takes some of our familiar characters from Atlantis Legacy and brings them into the early part of the world of All World Online. So before we have entered it in All World Online Pride and Prejudice. This is like way before. So
nice.
Yeah, I'm really excited to just like mash it all together, because that's what I like to do. Mash all kinds of things together that shouldn't fit.
Yeah, but it works. I mean,
yeah. So
you're a successful author, and you have like all the things that you do, you have a fan base for it. So it's not like it's some random thing that's just gonna be just sit there, you know?
Yeah. So so I'm really excited about that. So that's what I'm working on. And then obviously, well, not obviously to listeners, but obviously to you, we're revising The Raven Queen right now. So
yeah,
that's been really fun to go back. I mean, now that my book release is done, I can actually like focus on it. Because I feel like there's always the million things that you have that you're like, oh, I'm just gonna have a nice relaxing book release day. And you're like, oh, crud, I forgot to do this and this and this and this and this.
Always.
So
always.
Yeah. So yeah, now today was my first day to like really, really focus on the Raven Queen revisions. And it was really exciting to like go back, because I totally forgot most of what I had written. As you know.
That's hilarious.
So yeah, it's been fun.
I like how we have these like impromptu meetings about when in the middle of things, and we come up with like, we're like, oh, there's something like this isn't going to work, we need to work it out. And so then we work it out, and then we sit back down. At least this is how I feel. And then we sit back down and we're working on stuff, and I was like, God, that's a whole other thing that we should probably talk about. And I'm like, do we just leave notes about it? Do I do send an email? Like there's just like, I feel like you can never really 100% plot or plan anything when you're writing, because it's just like what you're saying, you kind of forget what you're writing, and then you go back to read it, and then you're like, oh yeah, we really should have talked about that, or we should have figured that out, and whatever. But yeah, it's fun.
I've been pretty happy with like the kind of openings that I left myself for a lot of it. Like there's some stuff that I was like, ooh, like I totally changed one part, not like totally changed, but like there was something that we had talked about when we finished that needed to be the whole prophecy situation. And I was like, all right. So I had to like spend a lot of time on that chapter.
Figuring that out. Yeah.
I was just like reworking a bunch of stuff. So that was like one of those like really digging in and rewriting a bunch of stuff. But and I feel like, I don't know if it was this way for what you felt like, because we haven't really talked about our revisions yet, because we only just started. But the first chapter I feel like is always just like so much to do. And
well, mine's like that's like the longest chapter.
I know, same with mine.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm sitting there going, oh my gosh, like over 5, it's like 4,000 words or something like that, and I'm just like, holy hell, it's almost 5,000 words. Maybe it is, I don't know, but anyway, yeah, it's really long. And so I remember writing that, sitting down to write. I was like, if this is how long it's going to take me to write every chapter in this book, I'm fucked, because I don't have time to sit here and spend an entire day working on a chapter, like hours, but like in one chunk. But no, it totally got better. But yeah, the beginning's rough. We're doing a lot of world building now, so
yeah, there's a lot of world building. I mean, this is one of those ones that's really fun because it's a huge world that already exists,
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, technically, it's the first book in a series, but it's also we've already written these characters in the prequel.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's just like a lot of stuff. I don't know. It's just there's a lot. It's a rich world.
Yes.
It has a lot of lore. But
anyway, that's fun.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. So what about you? What are you working on?
Same stuff as always. I'm sending my Sea of Storms off to my editor next week, so I'm finishing up my manuscript, my paper manuscript read through of that. I'm working on Land of Fury. I have about 10 chapters left to do in that. Of course, I probably said that last time, but I have added like 5 chapters to the 10 that or whatever, I keep adding chapters. That's ridiculous. So I'm working on that. And then obviously the revisions for Finn's chapters. One of the fun things that I kind of took a break to work on though was creating videos of all of my my character portraits for the different series and stuff. So I've only done one so far, but I'm gonna start putting those on on YouTube so that people can go and they can see like a transition for all of the characters for the different series. So I only have the Savage North Chronicles done right now, but we'll put a link in the show notes so people can check it out. It's just fun, and that way it's always there, and there's not like some special place to find it, and whatever. So anyway, but that was one fun thing that I got to do. But other than that, I'm just like in 3 different worlds and trying to stay focused because it's really hard. As you point out in my writing, you're like, you switched tenses here. And as I've been going through and revising,
I stopped noting it.
Yeah, I know. So it's funny. Well, it's because I'm writing my stories are all in different tenses. So it's so funny. It's like I'm pretty good at catching myself. Like you would be surprised how many times I caught myself. But as I'm going through, I'm finding like all these little random words that like there'll be a whole paragraph and it's all the right tense except for like 2 words. I'm like, that's so random.
It is funny.
So anyway, just trying to stay focused. But
it's really funny. Like, so I almost exclusively write in first person past tense. However, I did write Vertigo, which is the All World Online novella, in first person present tense. And I don't know why. I tried to write it in past tense and it didn't fit. Jane, pretty sure is the main character's name.
Nice.
Pretty sure. It's not super long, so I didn't spend a super long amount of like a ton of time with her. So but it's just really random. Like how do you decide? Like it's just what it feels like? I mean, you decide for a whole series, right?
Yeah. So I think I did the first person present with the Saratoga Falls love stories because that was really kind of some new adult. It's kind of angsty. There's a lot of like feeling stuff going on. And so it just felt more immediate, like to be able to write it and urgent to be able to write it in first person. Like I could be in the character's mind, like in that moment instead of reflecting on it sort of thing, I mean, the Savage North Chronicles is, first person past tense. So, I mean, that's just like what we're writing now. I guess I just started writing the Forgotten Lands. Well, the Ruined Lands is the same as the Forgotten Lands because it's the same world. I didn't want to change it up. And I guess I just started because it felt right. I mean, I don't remember a moment when I was, why the aha moment, but I'm sure it just felt right, I don't really have a preference. I think, like you said, it's just sometimes it just feels better or easier or more right to do it one way or the other. Because I read both. Like, it's not like I pick up a book, I'm like, oh yeah, no, I can't handle this.
Oh yeah. First present or present versus past doesn't, I mean, maybe I prefer past tense. I don't know. But I don't really know because like, I
mean, it doesn't clearly stick out in your head enough for it to
no, it's not like third person.
Yeah. We all know I feel about
that. Such a slog.
You're so funny. But yeah. So anyway, I don't know how we got on that, but yeah. So anyways, that's what I'm working on. I do have some 2 kind of fun book things though that I've been listening to. So what have you been listening to? Anything?
No, I was just doing Song of Achilles, and then I've been trying to catch up on some podcasts.
Yeah, all those, I kind of forget about those all the time now.
And then I will say but in preparation for the book release, and I still need to finish it actually, because I do my playlists with each book. And so I had to put all my songs in order for the Blood of the Broken playlist because they were all mixed up. So I had to put them in chronological order, which meant I had to like go through and figure out exactly what moments in the book they went with. Because and so I have notes all over the place for this kind of stuff. But so now I have my like document that has a brief note. But I need to actually like write out my because I like to have like a little excerpt or something that people can see like this is exactly what it goes with, or if there's just like a specific character kind of like arc that it goes with or something like that. A lot of these songs go with one specific
scene or moment or yeah.
So I've been listening to that, but I was listening to that playlist, and then I was listening to the Raven Queen playlist to get back into that mind frame. Because it's like as soon as I start listening to the songs, it like shifts my brain into that mode. So, but it's actually super helpful now that I've figured this out. It's like I genuinely despise using this word. So I'm like debating whether I even want to use it, but it's like a trick. I'm going to call it a trick for my brain. That it just helps me figure out how to like switch gears into the right story world.
Can you tell me what the word is that you
hack?
Oh,
I hate that.
I was like, now I have to know what word you want to use.
The other one I genuinely despise is 10x. Genuine despise, like 10x it.
Oh my god, I don't know that one. I must not be very cool.
It's like a very businessy buzzword.
Dennis hates the word literally, and so many people say it. He just goes, "Oh, literally!" after everyone says it. I'm like, oh man, this is so embarrassing.
Oh my god, I sometimes I write it on purpose in my books. I'm like, this is hilarious.
Yeah,
literally.
It's funny. Well, I obviously was reading / listening to the Song of Achilles. But I finally finished, I don't know if I talked about it before, but I was listening to this audiobook for book club called the Housemaid. It's by, I think her name is
I think you did mention it. It was like a thriller or something.
It's like a psychological thriller. And her name's Freida McFadden. And that shit is crazy, and it was really good, and it was gave me a little bit of anxiety because I didn't know what exactly was going on, but I definitely recommend it if you like psychological thrillers for sure. I mean
it was The Housemaid.
Yeah, The Housemaid. Anyway, so I recommend that. And then I actually, one of the things that I kind of go through these phases of watching TV, and I finally gave in and started watching 1883, which I don't know if anybody's seen that, but
I haven't seen it, but I've watched Yellowstone.
I'm obsessed. Yellowstone I've watched the first season, and it's for me, it's like so drama that I'm just like, oh my god.
Very drama. There's some parts where
Beth like makes me just want to,
Oh my god, I love Beth.
I know everybody does. I'm like, just kill yourself already, lady. But this is just really cool. It's like, I'm sure if most people know about it, but it's like the origin stories for that family, and it's so good. In fact, I was bawling my eyes out before I came in here, because I was like, no, don't do it. And I was like, we fucking did it. That person's gone. Now I'm really pissed off. Great acting overall. I'm like super. I've been pacing myself, but because there's only like 9 episodes or something, but it's really good. So I recommend it to anybody who likes Westerns or, I guess essentially Westerns. So old timey stuff.
I do want to mention I did finally finish A Kingdom of Ruin.
Oh, good job.
And it was great. And I'm really excited. I'm really excited. I'm not going to start Queen of Ruin, I think is the 4th book, until after I've read Station 11. But because I don't want to start and stop. So good.
Good. Okay, well, Shall we dive into Achilles' story? That's not what it's called, but okay, so consider this your spoiler zone warning.
I mean, most people know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, it has its own.
Yeah. All right, so we were talking about the Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller, and I will read the description. Greece in the Age of Heroes, Patroclus, an awkward young prince, has been exiled and becomes an unwanted boy living in the shadow of King Peleus and his golden son Achilles. Achilles, best of all the Greeks, is everything Patroclus is not. Strong, beautiful, the child of a goddess, and by all rights, their paths should never have crossed. Yet one day, Achilles takes the shamed prince under his wing, and soon their tentative connection gives way to a steadfast friendship. As they grow into young men skilled in the arts of war and medicine, their bond blossoms into something far deeper. Despite the displeasure of Achilles' mother, Thetis, I think that's how I say her name, a cruel sea goddess with a hatred of mortals. Fate is never far from the heels of Achilles. When word comes that Helen of Sparta has been kidnapped, the men of Greece are called upon to lay siege to Troy in her name. Seduced by the promise of a glorious destiny, Achilles joins their cause. Torn between love and fear for his friend, Patroclus follows Achilles into war, little knowing that the years that follow will test everything they have learned, everything they hold dear, and that before he is ready, he will be forced to surrender his friend to the hands of fate. Dun, 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 dun. He didn't get up in those stars for nothing. All right, so why don't you go? We all know that I enjoyed this. I enjoyed it the second time around. I don't know if I was quite as giddy because I absolutely was like fangirling over it the first time I read it, but I think it's a beautiful, beautiful story. I love it.
Mhm.
What did you think? Because I know there's been a ton of hype. So what did you think about it?
Well, I definitely think it's always difficult going into a book that has so much hype. I feel like because I had read most of Circe before, I knew what I was getting into with Madeline Miller's narrative
Prose
style.
and
And it's like very beautiful, almost like or elegant language, almost somewhat formal. And I feel like her writing style is not necessarily my cup of tea, even though I am fully capable of seeing how beautiful the language is. It's almost like a little too flowery for me.
Yeah, I can totally see that. It's definitely an acquired taste, I think.
Yeah, but I mean, tons of people love it. It has incredible ratings. It's like it is a phenomenon on TikTok and Instagram and any other place where there's like a
internationally.
Yeah. Internationally. So yeah, I'm fully capable of seeing why that is. I feel like if I had the same issues with Song of Achilles that I had that I think caused me to stop reading Circe, which is that I just didn't feel like I felt more connected with Patroclus and mostly him in this one than I felt with Circe in Circe in her self-titled book. And I think with Circe, my issue with Circe is that it's like such a sprawling time, and it's
very whimsical. It's all very, it's all very pretty.
Never felt like I fully settled into her character. But Patroclus, I felt like very connected to. So there was that. It just felt like there was like a long middle portion where there wasn't a lot happening other than their relationship was developing. But I enjoyed it. I definitely enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's funny. And I think that's what a lot of people struggle with Jane Austen too. It's like you kind of have to be in that mindset and care about what people are saying at that time. You know, like I know there's a lot of people that would love, maybe it's also like reading, you know, Tolkien or something. It's like you want to watch the movies, but reading the books, you're just like, oh my God, like I can't.
Oh yeah, I have a really
yeah. So I think it's for me, like because we read this for book club way back when, and it's really interesting because it was very like half the people absolutely loved it. the other half are like, no, this is not the
Really?
writing style for me. Yeah. And it's all because of like exactly what you're saying. But I also think that it has a big deal, or it affects it if you're reading it versus listening. Whereas like, I think that people, if I remember correctly, in book club, the people who listened to it were the ones that absolutely loved it. I think because there's a cadence to it that you don't get when you're reading it.
It almost has some of that like bardy kind of cadence, like it's meant to be told orally, which fits with the
air, yeah.
Yeah. But I will say, like, seriously, I feel like I could just listen to that book and not care where it's going
because her voice
is so amazing.
Yeah.
The narrators. She's an actress. But and she's in one. I think I really like her voice too, because she's in one of my favorite movies. But which is As Above, So Below. And if you haven't seen it, it is an like undercover gem. Anybody who's listening, you need to watch it. It is like an horror version of like an Indiana Jones Tomb Raider kind of thing. It's great. It's so good. Have you watched it yet?
I started watching it and Dennis fell asleep, and I was like, this is for you that I'm watching this. It's supposed to be scary, right?
It's so good. It's so good. And I don't even like scary things because I have terrible nightmares, but I love this movie.
Yeah.
Anyway, but her voice, Perdita Weeks, is that her name?
I don't know.
Her voice is amazing. I love her.
Yeah, no, I definitely think that, I don't know, I just like that stuff. I don't know why. I know why I like it, but I think it's an acquired taste, so to speak. So I totally get it. And that's why I was really curious what you would think, because there's been a lot of hype, but also I've seen how people are so divided on it. Like like on TikTok, I haven't seen anybody who said they didn't like it. But I mean, I'm also like, people show what they want to show. Whereas you're in a room of book club and you can actually talk about who liked it and what they didn't like. And you know what I mean? So it's totally different.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was just curious. So are you, before you were reading it, like, I know there's certain parts of ancient history that I've read the Iliad.
I've read the Iliad and the Odyssey, but yeah, the Iliad is the one that applies here.
Yeah. So I was just curious if because I mean, there's obviously in any fiction, like, people take their liberties, and I mean, it's not like this is there's probably 17 versions of just one transcribed paragraph. So, it's like everybody has their take on what it is and what the history is and what the lore is and everything. But was there anything that was surprising to you specifically going in, like reading it, that you're like, oh, like, either I didn't realize that was part of the story, maybe it wasn't, maybe she made it up, I don't know, but or was there just anything that kind of just you were really thought kind of was interesting or different?
The only thing that really I felt surprised by, and like actually surprised by, like, was not expecting, was Briseis's character and how she fit into the relationship with Patroclus and Achilles and their little like group. I really loved that a lot. That I wasn't expecting. I mean, obviously, for anybody who's seen Troy, that is not her character.
Yeah.
That's not true to Briseis in the Iliad or any of the stories. So and I have like 1,000 critiques of Troy, but we're not talking about Troy. So that was the thing that I really loved. And especially Briseis's character in a time where women are so like degraded and demeaned and like not valued at all. Like, she, as this captured slave girl who was like a farm girl in this, she still managed to like become somebody who can make positive change for other women. And then her relationship with Patroclus was really pretty. So
yeah, it really was. I liked that too. Isn't that funny how I feel? I mean, obviously it's not from Achilles' perspective, but it's just, I feel like, Patroclus they do such a good job of making him seem like this clumsy, oafy, like just kid all the like through the whole thing. So I feel like they really did a good job with her, and that they really made you see him as a man. Like she was attracted to him as a man because, and he's like, wait, what? Like I'm just
we know
stupid
that like
old me.
Achilles loves him and is attracted to him, and if Achilles is the best of the Greeks, you know, then he's got to be something, you know, and even though he doesn't value himself very highly, but he also had a terrible father who like made him feel like crap all the time. So there's that. But like, it was really nice that Briseis, who was a woman, especially after the chick from the island, who is Achilles's wife or whatever, was like so cruel to him and then had sex with him. I don't know. It was really weird.
That was really weird.
I was like, what is going on?
Well, and it's funny because it's been so long since I read it the first time. When I was listening to it again, I was like, is she like setting him up? Like the whole time I thought like Achilles was gonna walk in, or no, she's just crazy. She's just batshit crazy.
And then it was like, did he ever tell him about it?
Yeah, I don't think so.
It was really weird. So that was strange. I didn't understand what was going on there or the purpose for it, but like, all right, I guess we're just going with the flow here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did really like his that whole everything with Briseis and him, and it was nice that he had a companion because Achilles was off like murdering everybody. So
I think
for glory.
I think that I think Madeline Miller did a really good job of writing Achilles, because he's still like the super macho guy, but he's also really like he's intellectual and he's kind, and he's not like I don't know. I just feel like he's very balanced, even though he, you know, his mother is Satan. She is
interesting.
Yeah, so I'm just like, it's just I think they did a really good job of writing him and portraying his character, because it isn't his book, but I felt like you still got to see these different sides of Achilles in a way that well, you go back to the whole Troy situation and you know, all that, but which is actually really funny, because I feel like, you know, especially in all the stories about Achilles, it's like Troy's like this huge thing. And yeah, it's like there's half of the story or a quarter of the story or whatever, they're at war or whatever for however many years. But really, it's like, it's such a background part of it, which I thought was kind of a cool way to do it too. It wasn't as predictable as, you know, like you said, Briseis comes in, she's like takes up half the show because she's like some new cool character, and her and Patroclus become really good friends, and then they start, you know, taking in all these other women that, you know, we're gonna go have to like whore themselves out to all these different, you know, soldiers, and then they're like have this little refuge for them. And yeah, I don't know, it's just really cool that it's just, it wasn't focused. And I guess that's one of the cool things about having Patroclus being the main character, is he wasn't at war the whole time. So I guess if it would have been, he wasn't fighting. So if it was from Achilles' perspective, then we would have had a whole different story, you know? So anyways, I don't know. It's just really cool.
And I do wonder if like a lot of the stuff about Achilles' character that made him, if Patroclus is what like humanized Achilles, like if he, you know, like we got to see his son at the end, who was just like a terrible person. And
thank God he didn't last long.
Right. I know. I was like, oh, yes. But that I feel like that is who Achilles could have become if he didn't have Patroclus. And so I did feel like there was a little bit of a like, maybe it was a fate thing, but like I didn't understand exactly what caused the Achilles's initial interest in Patroclus. Like when he first came to live there, it just was like, why Patroclus when all the other, he'd never been interested in any of the other boys who were basically throwing themselves at him to be his like favored companion, you know?
Well, I guess technically if he was always going to die, and they always knew he would die because of the whole Hector thing, then I guess they were fated because
that's why he did it. I mean, so yeah, I mean, I
totally
almost would have liked to have more. I think just because I love fantasy and paranormal stuff, I would have loved to have like a little bit more of the gods and the you know, that kind of stuff in it, besides just evil Thetis.
Yeah. It's funny because it was really interesting. Like I feel like even though there weren't a lot of gods in this, as far as present in the scenes or whatever, they played a big role off the page. And then to have Apollo come at the end, and I feel like that was such a good scene of them playing games with these mortals. Like he sit there, what didn't he just like kind of, I don't know, like I was cooking when I was listening to, I can't remember, but didn't he like strip like essentially his, or not like strip him, but like didn't he take off his armor or do something?
He like did something like magically loosened the bindings or something. So like the third time he knocked him off the wall.
Yeah, and just like totally he's like, this is the moment, like you're gonna die.
Well, because at first he was like, it was very kind the first time. He was like, Patroclus, no. And I don't know, he had like a berserker moment and he couldn't like stop himself.
And that's why I was actually going to ask you. I think that was really interesting because I was like, is that an adrenaline thing or is that the god like fate?
And so that I was wondering that the whole time, from the moment he put on Achilles' armor, or not even then, from the moment he threw the first spear, and it was like he said it was like he said because he had like watched Achilles so many times, he was able to like naturally find the right position or something. And I was thinking, I was wondering if it was like one of the gods like influencing him.
Yeah, I'm sure. I think especially because Thetis kept talking about how, you have to placate the gods and he wouldn't do it. And she was like, I can't protect you anymore. And it's just like, I think that it was just a battle to see who could screw everyone over or something.
Yeah.
It's
well, like, isn't that what the Greek gods did?
Yeah.
That was like what they did in mythology.
Actually, that brings me though to Thetis, which I think that I didn't remember exactly what happened with her in the end. So I was really pleasantly surprised for as much as I hated her and how horrible she was. I really liked what they did with her. What I say they, I think I say they because of the narrator and the author. I don't know why, but anyways, Madeline Miller, I think what she did was really interesting because at the end it's like she needed to hear all these amazing things about her own son that she refused to see because of whatever she was trying to beat fate or whatever it was. I don't know.
Well, and I think there was also the element that she was raped, then that's how he was conceived.
Yeah, that's true.
And she hated his father and like all of that stuff, but she did love Achilles, but I think that also made her character and her relationship with Achilles more complex.
Yeah, that makes sense. I don't know, but I really like the end. And then because I was like, man, that really sucks. He's like stuck there and
I know
gone and stupid Paris.
It was a very Titanic moment.
Yeah. And it's funny because I know everyone's like, oh my gosh, this book destroyed me. And I think it's an amazing book. Like it's one of my all-time favorites. I didn't get like super emotional about anything. I thought things were sad. I thought things like made me giddy or whatever.
I was sad about Briseis. That bummed me out. I did feel like a lot of that stuff at the end felt very rushed. Like once Achilles' son showed up and stuff, but I'm also glad they didn't like dwell on it because I mean, to be fair, at that point we're hearing about it from Patroclus the ghost, so it makes sense if it's feeling a little like distant.
Yeah, there was only one part that gave me like the feels, and that was the very end, after she finally puts Achilles and Patroclus's name on the monument or whatever.
I feel like I know what you're gonna say because I feel like that's the moment that I got the feels too.
Yeah, and so she says because
it's like the last line in the book.
Yeah, so and it's so funny because it's all building up to this, right?
Yes.
And so she says go because he's stuck, and Achilles is in the afterlife or underworld. So she says go, he waits for you. And then you have Patroclus saying, in the darkness, two shadows reaching through the hopeless, heavy dusk. The hands meet, the light spills in a flood like 100 golden urns pouring out of the sun. And at least we know in that last sentence that they were finally
Which is why it is Titanic.
Yeah. I'll never let go, Jack. And then I let go. No, I'm just kidding. Oh yeah, at the end when they all meet up at the stairs. Is that what you mean?
The ghost Titanic? Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, yeah, I think Yeah, it's just one of those things. You just have to be in the mood also, I think, to read something like that. Like
Yeah.
I go through.
I think that made it hard too, because I was like, I knew that they were doomed from the moment I started the book. I was like, I know where this was ending. I mean, I was confused about how it was going to finish the story, if it was a Song of Achilles, when it was from Patroclus's POV, because if you know the story, you know that Patroclus dies first. So I was like, well, how is he going to continue narrating?
Yeah, no, and it's funny because when I read this book in 2000, no, that can't be right. 12? No. Anyway, I don't know when this book came out, but I read the arc. So I originally I read this so long ago, but I didn't know what I was getting myself into. Like, I didn't realize that it was necessarily a love story. I just knew, I was like, Achilles. Like, I was like, okay, let's read some Greek mythology. I didn't realize that it was going to focus on, I guess clearly I didn't read the back cover. So I was really surprised. And I think that's one of the reasons why I loved this story, is because it was not what I expected, especially having two men. Like, I was just like, this is just like such a treat. And then to listen to the narrator, who, you know me, I mean, I already told you, I get all freaking, I have like a crush on the narrator. I think he does the voices so good. So but yeah, I don't know. I think it's fun. It's fun. I was talking to Lindsey offline about this, but I'm really sad because seriously, it was supposed to be turned into a series for HBO, and that was supposed to be 2 years ago. I don't know, and I can't find any news on it, so I don't know. I'm sure COVID has something to do with that. And then she puts books out very slowly. So supposedly her next story, which is Persephone, that is a Hades and Persephone retelling, or I don't know if you call this a retelling, but anyway, it's a Hades and Persephone story. I mean, maybe the end of next year. I don't really even know when that's coming out. So it just sucks that we have to, there's a lot of drag time in between.
Yeah.
But anyways.
I'm not surprised it takes her forever. I mean, it's like a giant book of art words. I mean, it's very poetic.
And I guarantee you, like, she has done so much research. Like, it's you can tell. You can totally tell. Okay, so what we kind of already talked about, as far as the hype and everything. Do you think though that, because you did listen to this, right? You didn't read it. Do you think that if you were to have read it, you would have had a different reaction to it?
I don't know. Because I did look for my book and I couldn't find it. Because I wanted to see like what it looked like on the page. I honestly don't know.
I'm just curious, because like I was saying for book club, I felt like there was a big difference for people.
Yeah.
So I was just curious. I can definitely tell you, like, when I was looking through this afterwards and half the names, I was like, thank God I listened to it. I would just like probably get lost just trying to figure out what all the names are, the Greek names.
Oh, that's funny.
Trying to keep it all under wraps or whatever.
Yeah, I feel like I had like a jump start with that just from already being familiar with them.
Yeah. It's one thing to hear them. It's one thing to try and spell them out for me. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Okay, so your famous question, if you had to cast a movie or a show, who would you pick? You don't have to like cast everybody, but is there anyone that comes to mind for any of the characters?
I mean, this is totally terrible, but honestly, the whole time I was picturing the cast of Troy.
Yeah, it's kind of hard not to.
It's really hard.
Yeah.
So I was like, when I saw that I was like, I tried to think of other people, but I was like, this is who I was picturing.
It's funny, like I would think about it for a minute and then I would think about how different the movie is, and I'm like, well, that's his cousin in the
I know.
Yeah.
I actually, there's, like I said, I have 1,000,000 critiques of the movie. And one of the things that I genuinely despised about the movie was what they did with their relationship. And I know in the Iliad, it's not explicitly stated that they're lovers, but it's generally accepted in the like world of classics that they had that relationship. So I remember being really, really mad about that in the movie, that it just felt like it was Hollywood trying to make something more palatable to a general like consumption audience.
Well, and it's funny that you say that too, because I was thinking about that today when I text you, and if you'd seen Troy, is because I was thinking there's a lot of things that they didn't do, but there's a lot of things that they did do that are very similar to her story. So it makes it seem like that must be what the canon is. But I'm just like, it's so interesting how they just picked and choose certain things that, you know, I guess the big plot things, but, you know, with the main characters, but there's a lot of other things too, like Priam coming for, you know,
that
Hector's
happens.
body. And yeah, I mean, but there's like there are a lot of similarities. So I'm just like, who made like interesting choices as to how they made some of these decisions, you know?
Yeah. And then that they like made it the Briseis thing like a big romance in Troy.
Right.
Like that was the love story.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But anyway, okay. So you have nothing.
No, I have nothing helpful. It's purely the cast of Troy, which is terrible.
Actually, it was on TV the other day. Dennis doesn't like it either, but it was on TV while I was cooking, and I ended up watching it now, or whatever parts were on. I didn't like start from the beginning or anything. And I was like, this movie must be really old because Brad Pitt looks really good.
I mean, he looked really good in The Lost City too. So
yeah, he did. That's true. He does true. Okay. So I feel like it is kind of like some of the characters were kind of hard for me to try and picture. But I thought like Mel Gibson could be like a good Agamemnon or something like that.
Yes, that works.
Yeah.
Agamemnon is the worst.
And I feel like Chris Hemsworth is like an obvious choice could be like an Achilles because he's super athletic and like blonde.
I do have to say, I was so confused when Achilles is on the island and dressed up as a woman. I'm like, how is everyone thinking he's a woman? Isn't he like this super jacked guy?
Yeah, I know. Isn't that funny? I was like,
she's a burly woman. Achilles, the best of the Greeks, the manliest of the men.
Yeah, that was weird. I kept thinking that too. I'm like, is he wearing lipstick too at this point, or like what? He's like dancing with the women. I can just picture him like fluttering around.
I know. I was like, are they fully veiled? Like, how is it that nobody is aware?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and it was hard too because Odysseus is Sean Bean, who I think I think they did his character was so spot on, and Troy, like if we're comparing them to her story,
that is a good.
So yeah, there's just, like I said, there's just some things that I just felt right, but yeah. Anyway, I don't know why Mel Gibson stuck out like automatically to me. I don't know why. I think because he's like in his older age, like he get really gruff too, you know.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah.
Well, I know it clearly wasn't your favorite book ever, but any closing thoughts on this book?
I mean, it's a beautiful book. Just like Circe.
What are you planning at all on if she, I'm assuming she's gonna write the Persephone, are you gonna
maybe
take a
maybe I do like the Persephone and Hades, like everybody, story. I like the idea of a story about a fated love story that isn't just like miserable.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
What I don't know, maybe you kind of answered this already. I know you haven't finished Circe, but is there one that you think that you said you think you liked being in Patroclus's head more.
Yes.
And you could understand and relate to him.
Yeah, well, I feel like it was a shorter period of time. Circe's life is so sprawling that it's hard to, I mean, and we start when she's like young and
like a little girl or whatever.
Yeah, and it's like millennia pass, you know, and that's we don't.
God, it's been a long time since I read that one too.
It's just like we do get to see Odysseus in that one also. But
his men.
Yeah. It's and I think that I did enjoy Circe, the like twist of Circe, because in the Odyssey, Circe is more of a villain. So that is nice. In Circe, she's the heroine of her story, obviously. Yeah, so that was interesting. But I did like in Song of Achilles being in Patroclus's head. It's a shorter period of time. He's immortal, not immortal. Yeah. He felt more relatable.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, he's also, like you said, because he is mortal, because he's just human, I think that also lends itself to being more relatable too, because again, he thinks he's a big doofy guy. He has his own insecurities. He doesn't know why Achilles loves him. He doesn't understand. Like, he's like, why me? Why do you pick me? You know?
Yeah.
Whereas Circe is she a nymph or a goddess? I can't remember. Anyway.
She's a goddess. Well, she's a goddess. Her mom is a nymph and her dad is Helios, right?
Oh yeah, I remember their hall and dripping.
But she is like has like a very low amount of divinity or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
She has a mortal voice.
Keep it straight. It's so silly. I mean, 17 different types of divinity to come up with what
I know.
Body of.
Yeah. I know.
Anyway, okay, well, I'm excited to watch the show if it ever comes out of Circe, so we'll see.
Yeah, I feel like these could translate into really cool
like cool episodic shows.
Yeah,
like they're doing like the Wheel of Time and all that now. I think that'd be really cool to add all that in the mix.
Yeah, I would have a really hard time with Circe because I really wanted to be the narrator to play Circe.
Well, maybe they will. You never know.
Yeah, you never know.
You never know.
So
okay, so wrapping up then, you good to go?
Yeah.
Anything else?
I don't think so.
Okay. I'm like,
I'm not ready.
Okay. All right, that's it for this episode. Thanks everyone for listening. Don't forget to check out the show notes. You are smiling. Don't forget to check out the show notes for this episode for the links and the book recs. We'll be back in a couple weeks to chat about their next book adaptation, which is Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel. Anyway, in the meantime, if you enjoy the show, please leave us a review wherever you listen and join our No Shelf Control Facebook group. Until next time, everybody, happy reading adventures, stay out of trouble, but not really.